So we are in cycle 3. We are going to organize a little bit the classroom. We start with class meetings. It's a very important activity of the positive discipline method. It's more important than auctions or class guidelines. That's key. And in my school, I run that every day, 15 minutes with the class. So we have a video explaining that. You show that video to students. You decide as a teacher for the three first issues that needs to be resolved. Please take closed questions such as do you prefer to first have the theory or the exercise or the other way around? Or do you prefer see chapter 3 or chapter 2? This kind of very easy questions where students get used to how a class meeting works before you ask more complex questions, such as what do you need to be more motivated or efficient? Appoint a timekeeper with a timer, so you are sure it does not last longer than 15 minutes. A speech distributor, maybe with a stick or an object held by anyone being speaking, and a secretary to note the vote decision, probably on the board to start, and then at the end of the meeting, on the meeting notebook here, again, a notebook with paper you cannot detached. That sticks together. That's the kind of low book for the class. So choose a nice one. One objective is that the debates are managed by the students with very little intervention of the teacher. That would be good. And another one is that you can address successfully one question with votes and decision in 15 seconds. And you did that 4 times, so 4 meetings. Okay. Then mini courses. That video explain why this course should be very tiny and rare. So you can raise the demand and students start demanding, asking for these courses instead of autonomous work and exercises in the class. So while you teach, while you give that lecture, you should display a timer, preferably on the wall. Okay, a premise will take 15 minutes, for example, and here is the timer you can check. Identify what needs to be understood from what needs to be remembered at the end of the course. So at the end of the 15 minutes, when 2 minutes are remaining, be very clear about what they need to understand at the end and what they need to memorize. So the teacher does not go beyond the announced time. So if students feel that it's true, they check here. Do a collective memorization evocation exercise in the last minute of the course. That's what you identified here. When you do that, you check here. Assessments, that's the big part. Maybe the more difficult, but class meeting is very important. But assessment is a big part of this cycle 3. So first you have a video you can watch with your students. You should, for these tests, for these assessments, separate closed and open questions. Closed questions are easily corrected with the solution being provided. An open question like writing a text about something is much more complex. So you provide solutions for closed questions, and you provide a correction grid for open-ended question, like for that text, what are the criteria of success, and you list them. Relate the points of the report card to the assessment. Yeah, you can predict as a student that if you succeed this assessment with 80%, for example, you will have 10 out of the 30 needed points for your gradebook, for your report card. Regularly display the points judge as it feels. So each student knows, okay, my tank is empty. I need points for my next report cards, or I'm doing well. I'm okay with my grades. Set up a system. Maybe it's an assistant managing that, another student, so that you accumulate positive remarks during the weeks. During the year. So, for example, you see a very clean notebook from a student. Oh, you're really doing that with care, and it's quite neat and clean. So you think about that positive remark. Say it to the student. What I see is clean and makes me happy, and also remember it. Um, I need accumulate that remark in a written form in the report card, and that's where your assistant can help. You ask the assistant, "Oh, can you note for this student in some document that you share with me the date and that I think his notebook is very clean and nice." So at the end, when you produce the report card, even if the points are very low, you have a few positive remarks that you can display, that you can write. What to achieve? Closed questions are systematically corrected by assistant students. Check. Open questions are corrected thanks to this correction grid by assistant. Check. The assistant. Yes, and I mean, when you provide that correction grid, give it also upfront to all the class, not only to the assistant, so all the class knows how to train for that assessment. The assistants give a grading table to the teacher. Some assistant teachers trust directly write in the grading book of the teacher. Depends on the schools and culture and class. The teacher finalizes the correction of open questions. So when you have written your text, for example, in open-ended questions, the teacher will probably, even if some assistant pre-corrected them, the teacher will finalize, will read the texts and check. But please do that when the concerned student, the author of the text, is at your desk watching you. So you can do real time comments about the text and give a short private course to the student about his text and not have to write everything on the paper. Teacher doesn't bring home any copy to be corrected. Yes, because most is corrected here by students and the rest is corrected while the concerned student is watching. So nothing should be corrected home. No student loses any learning point due to behavioral problem. When we talk about these report cards, should be only about having learned math. So 4 out of 10 points in math because of my knowledge, not because of my behavior. Maybe my behavior has other consequences, such as being kicked out of the school, definitely. It can be very rude. It depends on your culture and what the student did. But don't lose learning points because of your behavior. That you shouldn't link these two in the same note. Then you will have cycle 4. That's it for cycle 3. Good luck. And I hope both the teachers and students will enjoy this new way of working with the assessments.